Friend David moved to Colorado recently. In Colorado they have a lot of great mountain biking, and the first thing he did is he went out and he bought himself a mountain bike so he could ride out on the trails, stay in shape. Works in the office all day long, so he needs his workout. So when he got the bicycle came equipped with sort of basic flat pedals made out of nylon plastic material, and his feet kept slipping off on the trails, so he thought he was going to fall down. So he went out and he bought himself some nice flat pedals with pins to keep his feet on, and he went to put them on his bike. So he had a pedal wrench, nice pedal wrench, or maybe, I'm not sure, he might have just had a regular old wrench, but he had a wrench to get one pedal off. He got the right pedal off, it came right off. But when he went to take the left pedal off, he couldn't figure out how to get it off. So what I'm going to do today is go over how pedals work on bicycles, and we'll show you how to fix the most basic problem, which is a stuck pedal. A lot of people get a stuck pedal on the left side because they don't understand a basic principle about bicycle pedals. So we'll get to that after the break and a lot more about pedals. One of the most important things working with pedals is to keep straight that there's a left side of the bike and there's the right side of the bike. So this side of the bike, which is also the drivetrain side of the bike, we call that the right side of the bike. This side of the bike, the non-drivetrain side, see there's no chain, no crank, that's called the left side. So you get the right side and the left side. And believe it or not, bicycle pedals, from the cheapest bicycle pedals to more expensive bicycle pedals, clipless pedals, regular pedals, they all come in rights and lefts. And the right pedal is very different from the left pedal. And the reason that David couldn't get his pedal off is because he was trying to take off a left pedal. And a left pedal has different threading than the right pedal. So he turned his right pedal the way you would turn anything you wanted to loosen. He put a wrench on there and he turned it to the left this way, and that loosened the pedal, and he was able to take that pedal off and put the other pedal back on. You tighten this pedal by turning it to the right, you loosen it by turning it to the left. But when you get to the other side, if you take your pedal wrench and put it on the left pedal and turn it to the left, you know what happens? The pedal gets tighter. The harder you push, the tighter the pedal gets. I could literally stand on this, and the only thing that's going to happen is that pedal is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. That's the problem David was having. In order to get this pedal off, to loosen this pedal and remove it, you have to actually turn the left pedal axle to the right. And if you turn that wrench to the right, that pedal will come right off. So that's the first basic principle to understand. The left pedal is opposite thread compared to the right pedal, and it needs to be turned to the right to loosen that pedal, not the left. It's the opposite of what most people think when they try to remove pedals, and that's why the left pedal often gets stuck. It's not really stuck, it's just that you're turning the wrench the wrong way to remove it. Now, pedals can get stuck for other reasons. They might have been on the bike for a long time. Maybe they were not lubed enough when they were put in, so they got sort of corroded in there. Maybe it's a steel crank and a steel pedal and they got rusted together over time. So there can be reasons that they can be hard to get out other than you're turning them the wrong way. And for those reasons, you want to know how to apply proper force on the pedal, hold on to it well, and be able to unscrew it from the crank arm in case you want to remove the pedals, replace them, upgrade them like David was. Or maybe you just need to take your pedals off to put your bike in a travel case for shipping your bike somewhere for a bike event. When you're working with pedals, you want to look at the pedals that you have and figure out how you remove them. So here's a pair of pedals, and you can see that there's flats right there for the pedal wrench to fit on. Usually a 14 or 15 millimeter flat. This is just a regular wrench, which can work if the pedals aren't stuck. Here's another pedal. You see the wrench flats on it. But there are pedals today that don't have any pedal flats, wrench flats. This pedal actually gets put on with a Allen wrench, a hex wrench. So the hex wrench goes in the back. That's how you install and remove the pedals. So you would actually insert it in the back. Now some pedals have both, like this pedal has both an Allen key and pedal flats on it. So once you figure out which wrench is right for your pedal, you pick the wrench. You can use a regular wrench, but I like to use and I recommend having a high quality pedal wrench like this Park Tool wrench, the PW4. You can see it's a massive wrench. You can see it has pretty good jaws, and they're offset in such a way that they allow you to line it up for maximum leverage for removing the pedal. It also has a oversized handle, which is really great to grip, and it's long for plenty of leverage, so if you do run into that stuck rusted pedal, and whenever you take a pedal off, if you can align the wrench in line with the crank arm, it makes it easier to break the pedal free, push down with enough pressure to get the pedal free. Once it's free, it'll unscrew pretty easily with any wrench, but when it's really tight, it comes in handy to be able to push down. I wouldn't be working on it on a bench like this. I'd put it on the ground so I could push down from above on it. And if we flip the bike around, then we put the pedal wrench on, it might appear that we can't get the same angle that we got on the other side. See how the wrench is at this angle and the crank arm is here? So we don't have quite the same leverage. It's a little awkward, but that's what's cool about this pedal wrench and pedal wrenches where they did their homework and designed it right. If you actually flip this pedal wrench upside down, put it back on the pedal, look what happens. Now we have a nice leverage. So sometimes you just have to experiment a little bit to figure out, okay, how can I get the best leverage when I'm trying to remove a pedal? Because you don't want to fight the pedal. Again, I wouldn't do it up here on a workbench. I'd put it down on the ground, get the bike down low, and it helps if you have somebody hold the bike up too, so you can put all your force on it. So either side you're on, line the pedal up, the pedal wrench up with the crank arm, and push down, and that will break the pedal free. I have seen pedals rusted into crank arms that took a lot of force to take off. If you run into one that's super tight, or let's say you're just using a regular wrench because it's all that you have, if you can get the wrench in a good position where you can't hurt anything, you can tap on the wrench with a rubber mallet carefully, and you can sometimes break it free. But be careful. You don't want to hit your frame with the wrench or hit your hand or hit your crank arm or anything. You're just trying to hit the tool. You can also use, if you have a pipe, all you have is a regular wrench, you could put a pipe over the regular wrench and use it as a cheater bar. Another safety principle is this is a 1x crankset, so there's only one chainring. So So the chain is always covering the teeth on the chainring. The teeth can be dangerous if you slip when you're trying to remove a pedal. You could slip if you didn't put your wrench on completely and it was only held a little bit. If you had your wrench back here and you were pushing down, it was only in a little bit, you could slip and hit the teeth. If the chain's covering the teeth, at least you have a little protection. For full protection, you could wear gloves, and if you make sure that the chain is on the largest chainring, whatever your largest size is, that's what you're likely to run into if you slip. You don't want to cut yourself on those chainring teeth. They're greasy, could get infected. A good way to get the pedals off with the Allen key is to put the wrench in the pedal so that it's facing forward, and then put your foot on the pedal. That puts force on the crank arm, keeps the bike going forward. You could have somebody holding the bike, you could put it up against something so it can't go forward, but with your weight on it, you can then see how the Allen key, the Allen wrench is facing straight forward. You can just grab it and pull it up, and that will loosen the pedal on that side. And then for the other side, you do the same thing. You put the wrench so it's facing forward. You put your foot on the pedal to keep pressure so you have something to hold back on. Then you can pull the wrench to loosen the pedal. Once the pedal's loose, it's very easy to just spin it right off. If you find it difficult working with Allen keys to remove pedals, there is an option. It's about, last I knew, about $25. It's this little tool made by Efficient Velo Tools. They're also known as EVT. What this tool does is it takes the place of the Allen wrench. So here's the Allen wrench in a look keel pedal. Instead of using that, you just put this tool in, and now look, you have wrench slots instead of an Allen key. And with this tool from EVT in place, you can take your pedal wrench and have an easier time removing the pedal because you have this big lever out in front of the crank arm where it's easier to loosen and tighten the pedal. That's a nice tool. Installing pedals, putting pedals on, is all about paying attention to details. The number one thing to remember, never forget, the right pedal and the left pedal are different. You can't put the left pedal on the right side. You can't put the right pedal on the left side. If you manage to force the pedals in, you'll ruin the crank arms. And if you ruin the crank arms, you'll have an expensive repair because you'll have to replace the crankset. The way to avoid making the mistake of putting the pedal on the wrong side is to look carefully at the pedal before you put it on. Most pedals are marked. You might have to clean off the axle to find the R and the L that marks them as a right or left pedal, but they should have them on there if you look close. So this pedal here, you see the little R, and this pedal here, you see the little L. That's your right and your left pedal. Over here, brand new pair, it's pretty easy to see. There's your L there, and there's your right here. If we look at these old Shimano SPD pedals, they are marked here, L and R, but if you look even to the body of the pedal, they actually stamped an L over here and an R over here to help you. So if you look, you can usually find these things. And then you know that you have the right pedal before you make the mistake of trying to put a left pedal on the right side and a right pedal on the left side. Sometimes pedals are marked on the end of the spindle, making them even harder to see. But if you look carefully, you'll see it. You can see these are WR, WL on that black pair on the left, and the silver pair on the right is, you can see the R and L right there on the end. And that's the only place these are marked. So that's another place to look. All depends on what kind of pedals you're working on. Just be sure to figure out which thread you have, which side you have before you put it on. If you have a set of clipless pedals, road pedals, that aren't marked, you can usually figure out by the directional nature of the pedals, this foot goes in this way, this foot goes in this way, and only that way. that this would be the right pedal and this would be the left pedal. But still, you don't want to guess at it. You really want to be sure that you have it right. When you put pedals on, these pedals and this crank when it was supplied came with pedal washers, so they were recommending that you put washers on between the pedal. That's a little, you don't see that very often, but if you see it, follow the instructions and you'd put a pedal washer on there. And all pedal threads, you'd put a little grease on the threads before you install the pedals. Don't need very much, just a little bit. In this case, you'd grease the threads and a little grease on the washer. And then whenever you install pedals, you start by installing them by hand before you tighten it with a tool. If a pedal won't go in by hand, you're probably putting the wrong pedal in the wrong side. So you want to be very careful. Take it out, look at it, see if you can find the L and the R on the pedal. When you finish tightening a pedal, you don't have to tighten it too tight. You make it snug. You don't want it to loosen when you're riding. You don't want it to be able to rock around inside the crank arm, inside its pedal hole. But you don't have to get them super tight, because pedals tend to tighten. As long as they're tightened, snugged up good when they're installed, they won't tend to loosen when you're riding. So you don't have to tighten them so tight that it's very hard to get them out the next time you need to take them out. I hope these pedal tips were helpful. If you have any questions at all, leave them in a comment and I'll reply as soon as I can. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.